Morning, Ginge. Morning, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Franklin County Forage. I'm Ross. We're gonna cut some hay today. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna cut the alfalfa field where I planted the Teff in. See, this stuff here is all Teff. We're actually getting a few seed heads here and there, so we need to cut it. It's not real tall, it's not real thick, but I haven't fertilized it since I planted it. So hopefully I'll get a chance to fertilize it after I cut it here. There is some crabgrass coming up out here and there, other warm season stuff, and you'll notice that the alfalfa is pretty poor looking. It's very short, yellowish, small leaves. What I found is leaf hoppers, but I just don't know if it's worth spraying. This alfalfa is kind of thinning out anyways, and there's only 4 acres here. It's just a pain to freaking spray 4 acres. Not down to the ad yet. All right, guys, we're rolling. Yeah, I spread it out a little bit. I'm gonna crank this back up where I had it before I cut that other stuff, that custom job. So for that adjustment, you gotta crank this here. Oh. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm gonna try it like that, but I got to think about how wet the ground is. We got high humidity, we just had a bunch of rain, so. We do have a whole week here, and this stuff's really thin. It's the other stuff in the other field that I'm more concerned about. We'll see though. Let's get to cutting. So anywhere you see this little bit lighter green, that's Teff. The leaf hoppers have done a number on the alfalfa. If you don't have to deal with leaf hoppers, count yourself blessed. Alright guys, this is the first little bit that we did. I'm having to drive on the windrow over here and partially on the windrow over here. Up here, it fits in the tractor tracks where I don't have to drive on it at all. Maybe a little bit of stragglers laying out there like that, but not bad. You can kind of see back there. And it breaks a tent much nicer when I do this. We have a little bit of clover patch there in the low spot. All done. Across the road here at the neighbors. I'm not even going to cut the back because there's not much there. I'm just going to start working it here pretty soon and work it, I'll have it worked up for, I don't know, a month or 6 weeks, try to kill anything that I can. See what happens. So I'll work this in the back at the same time. But I wanted to go ahead and cut this off because there's a lot of vegetation here. And I know, if I was plowing, I could probably plow it under, but chisel plowing, ripping, and disking like I do, it's just going to be too much residue on the top to get planted like I really want to. So we're removing the hay. There is some value in the hay, so it's not like we're just cutting it for the heck of it. came through this waterway here, the mower pulled sideways a little bit, which usually means it's a little bit mushy. Oh yeah, definitely mushy. Definitely mushy. Probably all right out there. This is about the wettest spot in the whole field. It stinks because I don't really want to cut ruts here. It'll just make the water stand more. But it takes way longer if I'm not able to cut straight through. I don't know. We'll see. I'll make a decision here. The other thing is, I'm wondering if I'm getting some mud built up on the disc line or something, because it just feels different. Looks good though. Knives are all there. Everything's slicked up. Maybe this grass is just tougher cutting than I'm used to. Of course, it is wet. It's really short, but it's pretty thick. You can tell where it's green in strips where I fertilized it before first cutting. I didn't fertilize it for this one here because I was wanting to do it when I did that over there. I didn't end up getting that cut until this was already grown pretty good. So this second cutting didn't get any fertilizer on it. I'm planning on putting some on it after this cutting. Not sure how good it'll do with as hot as it is. I don't know. We'll see. I think I'm just gonna blow through this. It should only be this way for like 2 or 3 swaths. Here goes nothing. It's tracking it up. It's not cutting really bad ruts. It's not like it's gonna get stuck or anything. And like I said, that should be only like that for another couple swaths, maybe. So, time will tell. If all the windrows, if it was all like this right here, it'd really do pretty decent. Look at the hay here. It's all orchard grass. It is middle of summer. Orchard grass is a cool season grass. It's hot here. That's why you see a little bit of yellowing. It's actually going dormant. Whenever I cut this, it'll sprout back a little bit, but not much until it cools down in the fall. You'll see we do have some red clover out here. Not a whole lot. We like a little bit of legume. Just a little bit of a mix really helps the crop. But we don't want too much. A lot of horse people are not crazy about clover. Some actually prefer it. But we got a good mix here. This is good. Tender. Second cutting orchard grass with a little bit of red clover. Somebody came to visit us. Well, guys, my battery's about to die, so I don't know how much more footage I'll get for you, but just giving you fair warning. Dad's going to ted his hay. We're done cutting. I cut this alfalfa field with the teff in it, a little patch across the road, and I cut the orchard grass with a little bit of clover in it across the ditch here. And that's it for now. Dad cut that 8 acres with the ryegrass in it, ryegrass and orchard grass mix. So now I'm gonna get changed and head to work. I'll catch you guys probably this evening sometime. There's the alfalfa and teff field. There's the field across the road at the neighbor. Working on the round baler. We got 2 rollers off, 3 rollers I guess, technically. The main rubber one and these 2 here. So these 2 rollers, there's a larger one and a smaller one. The smaller one came off of the tensioning arm here. This strap's in the way. Came off of the tensioning arm here, and it goes right there, straight across there. The other roller, larger roller, came from the rear. It's the rear lower roller for the tailgate. These 2 rollers actually take the same bearing. They have a cast insert on the larger one to downsize it to the smaller bearing size. This one here, just the smaller bearing, actually just presses right into the end of the roller. Has a rod that goes through there, and that keeps those arms tensioned up against the roller. Here is the rod that goes inside there. And all that rod is doing is, when we go back together, I'll show you, but there's a couple pucks that go inside here. Your bearing goes in, that rod goes in, got a couple pucks that go inside there. And whenever you bolt through this arm over here into these pucks, it's actually going through the puck into that rod, and that is keeping that arm pulled up against there. Otherwise, that arm could float out off the bearing and whatever. So you're just keeping those rigid. The next roller we're going to do is this top one right up here. It is the one directly beneath the rubberized roller. This roller spins well, really good, but the collar was loose on this bearing and the seal is coming off. I'm gonna climb up there, but this is one side of it. This is what I'm gonna call the drive side. This is where the main drive is. Some people might want to call it the left side. So we're on the off drive side, which is where the tying mechanism is. There is one chain that goes here that drives the tying mechanism. Right up here is the bearing we're talking about on the opposite side. They are the same bearing. Dad already had those bearings. They're the same bearings as these top on the rear. So 2, 4, 6 of these bearings are identical. And then 2, 4, and 6 of these bearings are identical. So on this baler, you got a lot of bearings are the same, which is nice. I'll climb up there, take that collar off the other side. We'll take this grease line loose right here. Take that loose. We're going to try to change these bearings without having to take the whole shaft off. We'll see how well that works. Watch where you step. Good bust your butt. Stand right here. So if you look here, this collar here was actually loose, and it's got that outer seal of the bearing, which that's not like a replaceable seal, that's just part of the bearing. So we are going to replace it. Now, the bearing, I mean, it still rolls really well, but we're doing the job when we're going to go ahead and replace that. We're not replacing the roller. There's nothing wrong with the roller. It does look a little burnt. Got some rust on it from sitting out here while we've been waiting for parts. That's what the other side looks like. Got a little weeble wobble to it. We'll see what that looks like when we get it off there. Took the grease line loose. And actually these grease lines, doesn't really matter which one goes where other than lengthwise, which we'll be able to tell. So I'm not going to worry about marking it. Stick that down there. And we're going to remove this fitting because this fitting will need to go in the new bearing housing. You can just replace, take the bearing out of this housing after you remove it, but we have the bearing in the housing and everything, so we're just going to take this collar loose, take these 2 bolts out. Hopefully that'll slide off that shaft, put the new one on, we're good to go. All right, loosen up the set screw. Right here. Then we'll rotate it down. And then we'll put a punch in here and rotate that. Probably needs to go that way since the marks are on this side. We got the collars off the shaft. Collar off the shaft. Bolts are out. Getting ready to pull the bearing off.
Little bar up there.
Mm-hmm.
Can't get a hold of it.
Okay, ready?
I guess.
All right. Just need some rags to wipe that shaft off. Be ready for the new one. Can't say we didn't grease it. Grease worms are not present on these bearings. And now we'll take the bolts off of this side. All right, get the shaft cleaned up, putting the bearings on. First bearing's fighting us just a little bit. And to drive it on there. All right, locking collar on. Bearings work good, torque down. Hose attached, grease hose attached. Dad's working on putting his hose on. Look at this hay Dad cut and tedded today. Or cut yesterday, I guess, and tedded today. Hay's gonna be some good hay. Very good. See if we can get some footage of that. Of course, I'm gonna be doing my own hay as well at the same time. But just got back up here. Got the vulcanized, rubberized, rubber roller, drive roller, whatever you wanna call it. The roller that drives the belts. Got it in. Got the off drive side. Bearing on. Huh?
Oh, we screwed up.
What?
Well, this needs to go up over the top of
Oh, that stinks. Okay. Anyways, we're getting ready to put the bearing on, and then the drive and the override clutch and all that good stuff on. All right, we cut the zip ties. Try to get some slack out of this. Come on here. Look at that, guys. Boom. Crisis averted. Just need to put some zip ties on. All right, now we can put the bearing on there. So, Dad, what all goes on here? We got a bearing that goes on here, and then
it. Got a slip clutch
just
thing.
Just the overriding clutch thing that rides here, and then the drive piece that splines on
Drive
here.
here with a big spring.
And there's a snap ring for the clutch part, I think. So, all right, we're gonna put the bearing on. Bearing is slid on. Getting ready to put the bolts in it.
15, 16.
All right. Bearing on. Lock collar on. Don't want to forget that. Dad's getting the apparatus skills there on. Roller rolls good. Got to make sure you're centered up here so you're not rubbing on either side. Locking collar on. And then the next step is make sure we get our grease lines hooked up. We're ready to go. And there is the part number for this roller. Genuine CNH.
What that hole there's for?
Grease. There's a hole here, right? I'm sure that's ported.
Oh, yeah.
The grease line goes on the end of the shaft, and I'm sure it comes out here.
Okay, well, now there's a snap ring right here.
All right, we're gonna see if Dad can lose this snap ring here. Don't worry, Dad, I'll put it on YouTube so everybody in the world can see it if you do.
Okay, I hope you do.
We're just about there. The other part splines on here with a spring that keeps it on here, so you know it'll turn. The chain runs it this way, and it'll catch because it's a square step. If it goes this way, it'll just run up that ramp. So that's how it's supposed to work. All right, got her all back together. Still got to do the grease lines and everything, but we got to buy one new fitting for them. It's getting dark, so we're gonna call it quits. We're gonna get everything picked up get cleaned up, and call it a night. Or a day, whatever you want to call it. We're home. I'm ready to go tell the kids good night. I'm going to bed. Thanks so much for watching today. God bless you. God bless America. Franklin County Forage out.